Hello, and welcome to Startups in Real Life. We're in week 8 of a 10-week, 2 times a week series with Rae Hames to talk about all things startup. If you have any insights or advice, we'd love to hear it. Drop us a message. All right, let's get to it. How you doing, Rae?
I am good. I'll say it every week. I can't believe it's already Thursday.
I know, and it's not just Thursday. It's 8 weeks. I mean, we're almost done with the
getting there.
series. Yeah, this has
We're getting
been
there.
fun. All right, so we're weeks away from having a product to roll out. I'd love to hear from you, kind of the next steps in preparation for a public launch. So how are you going to approach it? Because I know everybody approaches it differently.
Yeah, and like when is launch? What is a launch? What does that mean? Definitely means so different things to different people. At a high level, so as you know, and as anybody who's been listening, like throughout the past couple of quarters, we have been working on developing our Elastic Team engine, and this is we're getting to the end of our first phase of development, which means that our product team is essentially ready to deliver our MVP. We're a couple weeks away from popping some champagne, throwing some confetti, because having this MVP means that we'll be able to actively bring in users into the platform. And so what that looks like for us is that we're going to be hosting an invite-only beta, where we're going to invite a handful of customers from each of our core segments that we've talked about to use the platform for free, and give us feedback as they start to build out their freelance teams. In parallel, we'll be able to do two things. One, capturing their feedback, and being able to understand any major roadblocks that would prevent a larger rollout is really important for us to know now, before we kind of go big. And if we find something that's a massive blocker, we don't want egg on our face. So we'll fix it before we do a broader launch. But it also gives us time to, in parallel, build our audience for launch. So most of that is going to happen here on LinkedIn. But what that helps us do is, over the course of the next few months, as we're starting to talk about broadly how brands and agencies can use freelance teams more efficiently, the goal is that when we do launch the in a more public way, we actually have somebody to talk to. So there's two sides of the equation here as we prep for this beta. One is on the product and one is on marketing.
And what is the criteria you're going to use to allow people into the closed beta?
I think that the idea is that we want to bring in 2 or 3 customers from each of our core segments that we've talked about. So brand side users that are building in-house teams, agency side users who are managing flexible project work, and multi-department enterprise users that are using freelance talent across multiple groups. Ultimately, so that we can better understand how they each interact with the tool and where, do they find value in it? How do they react to it? And across all of those groups, the folks that are most likely to see the most value from the products are ones that are hiring and managing at least 5 freelancers at any given time. So the more the better. It's a tool that definitely helps at scale. But I would say that that's our core across all 3 segments. We'll be inviting users that have that type of volume to manage.
And can you explain what you'll expect from them, as far as questions, or how what format?
We want to make it really easy for them to give us feedback. I think part of being at a beta is, it's exciting to try out a new tool, to see something, especially if it's at no or low cost. But also, we don't want to be in their face trying to get feedback every other day, because we're sensitive to the fact that they're actually trying to do a job, right? And so what this looks like is kind of a structured format for feedback. And what we're really looking for are love it, hate it, hey, this feature, I can't go forward. What am I supposed to do here? Because there's some things that we can solve for. There's some things that we will need to solve for on the product side. I anticipate, things that we'll learn from this process that actually need development support to fix, right? Like it is a bug, it is a blocker. We have to fix it before we go live. But there's also things that I imagine that we'll find where it's just a question about usability, and maybe a little pop-up or a tutorial will help get users through. And our goal is to keep the product as lean as possible, to like not overinvest in development until we have a larger public launch. And so trying to understand where users get stuck, and if we need to fix it with actual dev fixes or with education, is a good thing for us to be learning within this phase. And then obviously, if there's things like, wow, I love this, this is saving me so much time, why didn't this exist before? We want those quotes for marketing, because as we build our audience, we want to be able to share more broadly the good things that we're creating for this beta group.
Yep. And so, I think we talked about, the closed beta is going to be for a couple months to give people a real chance to use it.
Yeah.
And use it over and over again, through the cycles of either projects and or talent onboarding, offboarding. It will have, from what we've talked about, I think also, asking through the platform, like, good, bad, or, this isn't working. Let me just send a quick question to you guys through the platform, or, and then we'll also be checking in live, through either, emails or chats or things like that. And then maybe once or twice we might ask for a quick check-in.
And I think that the structure of that, like I was saying, the very first thing that all beta users will come in to is like an initial intake survey, right? Like we have to set baselines for ourselves. And this is less about, it's less about their usage of the tools as it is about their current tool set, right? Because we haven't launched this product yet, because it's brand new, we don't have any data about how much time it actually saves users in the process of building and managing freelance teams. And so what we can do at this phase is to start to set a baseline. Like I said, so what tools are you using right now? How long do you generally spend hiring, searching for new talent? How many people, are in your freelance Rolodex? And is that something that you need help managing? Is that going to help you move faster if you have better tabs on the freelancers that you love working with already? Or is your major pain point that you just don't know anybody and you need help hiring? I think that I'll be interested to see those results. Because then what we can do at the end of the beta phase, and like you said, I think it's a reasonable thing for us to plan for this beta to be a couple months long, because that's the work cycle involved. But at the end of this beta, we'll be able to take the same questions, right? And say, well, now how much time have you been spending filling roles? And we can start to supplement some of that with more quantitative data that we'll have from analytics on our side. How long does it take from the time that you post a job to the time that you're sending out contracts? Like, we'll be able to track that and help fill in those gaps. But I think that without that baseline, we don't know where we're starting. So I think it's important for us to look at from a data perspective.
Yeah, definitely data. I also like the qualitative though too. I mean, I do think, just hearing, So, I think on both sides, it's going to be important to just get some sense of it. Okay. And you said that there's going to be a handful from each of the segments. How are you planning to get the word out? Is it?
I think that this is going to be mostly invite only. Like we've definitely got a list of folks that we know that this, like we've been in conversations with already. As they'd say in the agency days, like friends of the agency, which are now actual agencies. But I think that what we're looking for is some folks that we can quickly get in. I don't think that we want to we'll have a big marketing push when we launch, right? Like when we're looking for brand new customers, that's going to be our big marketing push. But this isn't something that we're going to be pushing out ads to support. This is something that we're going to be inviting, literally invite access. And I think that if we can't fill those slots, like I said, like we're looking for 2 or 3 from each of those categories. If we can't fill those slots, it might be something that we're like asking second tier connections. Are you interested in this? In participating in this trial? But I don't really think that we're going to need to do that at this stage, because we're not talking about a ton of users right now. And the biggest goal for us is just to get any activity, happening within the platform, so we can see how real world users react to it. We've already, we've gone through the process of deep thinking UX. We're going through the process of QA, but rubber meets the road when new fresh eyeballs see these tools. So I think that that's what we're trying to get to. As we have this, ramp launch.
Right. So again, the three types. So if anybody hears this who feels they fit into it, we're looking for those that are bringing their agency work in-house, and looking whether it be hybrid, partial or all, or beginning that process. That was kind of the first group that we learned from.
Yeah.
And then secondly, the agencies they're helping, large brands or mid-sized brands. We've also found, they will get some good use out of it too. And then on the enterprise, just if you're managing a lot of freelancers across departments, as Rae said, we really believe this could help you as well. So
yeah.
All right. So what's the rest of the week? Well, actually not a lot of the week left.
Not a ton of the week left.
Yeah.
Today is a ton of product meetings. I think that as we're getting close to capping off our MVP, that we're in the final stages of really fine tuning. There's definitely some points of, polish that we're working on, making sure that our messaging systems are in place. So spending a lot of time in product land today. And then as planning for next week, I've also got several just meetings on the books. Those are just meetings, but it's setting up for marketing strategy. As we talked about audience development, this is something that we're going to have a big focus on. I think that as I said at the top, from here, we're going to be focused on getting users in the product and getting product feedback and building our audience and preparing ourselves for a strong launch. So, I'll be splitting my time that way.
Yeah. And, we haven't talked about, we should at some point talk about like the structures of business. We're trying to be on a 4-day work week. For this company, we believe that, keeping work in one place and having a lot of time without interruption for personal life is very important to us, and to our, the people that are working with us. So, that's kind of a segue, I know, but it is something I think I call
Fridays. I call Fridays soft Fridays. I think that we're at a stage right now where our team is small and pretty nimble, and we don't have a ton of policy in place. But that we're making a lot of progress week to week, and I don't see any issue with it really. And I think that the biggest distinction that we have is that we try not to have meetings in our books on Fridays, because it lets us either focus on deep work, like I can crank out a couple projects early in the morning and then have an afternoon free, or it can let us enjoy the summer. I mean, it's the summer months. A lot of kids are out of school, like, everybody on our team, is a parent. And so like, that's important for everybody to be able to kind of enjoy this time too, because it's just the season.
Yep, that's true. Okay. We'll have a good weekend, and
you
we
as
will
well.
Talk on Tuesday. Take care.
Sounds good. Bye.